Welcome inside Game Day here on Bonfire Sports. Darrin Bauming joined by Chris Walby. Thanks to everybody out there for joining us. Chris, I don't have to speak to how important tonight is. Game 1, Week 1, 2021. It's been 20 months, 620 days since the 107th Grey Cup, when Jake Thomas hoisted that mug for the first time in nearly 30 years in blue and gold. All of that aside, we're going to get into it here on Game Day Winnipeg, but it feels good to be back, doesn't it?
It's been a long time, DB. You know, the fact is we did our last game in the Grey Cup, and, the Bombers are very successful, beating them 3-12. But the nice thing that I am about is I'm excited because as a former player, my juice is still going. As a matter of fact, I texted Brad Foddy today, the equipment manager, and I said, make sure my 2 tubs of ice are in the shower, because I used to stand in those before every game. I said, I'm ready. It's game day. And he started laughing. He goes, I'm putting the tubs in there for you. So you got to have some fun with it. The excitement's there. And you're talking about me as an ex-player. How about the fans? And then especially, how about the players after, as you say, 620 something days, to have no contact, no games. We weren't sure if we were even going to have a year this year. So I'm so excited for these guys, and I can hardly wait for the season to go. This is going to be a great weekend of CFL football.
Well, and Willie Jefferson said it too. You couldn't ask for a better Week 1, Game 1 matchup than a Grey Cup rematch. Coming into the 2021 season, you can talk about Bo Levi and the Calgary Stampeders. You can talk about Jason Moss, the new offensive coordinator, paired now with Cody Fajardo, the West Division MOP, and the danger that they could be. But let's be real. The top 2 teams atop the power rankings coming into this season are these 2 teams playing tonight. The Blue Bombers and the Ticats. Continuity amongst the coaching staff and the roster, the veterans, the stars in this league, they're all back for 2021. It could be a serious tilt tonight.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting thing because, Darrin, one thing you got to understand is they haven't played for a long time. There's no exhibition games.
Right.
So what does that tell me? And whenever we used to go watch the exhibition games, when I played was 4, and now it's 2, now it's 0 this year. Yeah. There's a lot of mistakes on the field because this is the first time they're going to be under live fire going against another opponent other than their own team. When they go thud practice, it's not the same thing when you're, as a defensive lineman, you're tackling a, rubber ring or chasing around, just tagging guys. Now it's full go. So I say I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping there's minimum mistakes, but I guarantee there's going to be a bunch. And that's going to be the crucial thing today for a team to win, is the one that I think does the least amount of mistakes.
Lots to come here on Game Day Winnipeg on Bonfire Sports. My one-on-one sit-down with Blue Bombers middle linebacker and 2-time CFL Most Outstanding Defensive Player Adam Bighill still to come. We'll hear from quarterback Zach Collaros ahead of his second start in IG Field in blue and gold. And also Brady Oliveira, the Winnipeg product, Oak Park High School, who will get the start at running back tonight. That leads us into our number 1 storyline going into Week 1 for the Blue Bombers, and that's no Andrew Harris. Chris, it was the 3rd day of training camp back on July 12th, nearly a month ago, where Andrew Harris left practice early. Mike O'Shea said, we're going to keep him out of practice for a couple weeks. I watched 33 slowly ramp his activity up through those 2 weeks into the middle of training camp. And then I saw frustration, saw him come up limping, saw him go to the sidelines, take all the tape off. His day was done right around that 2-week mark. That was a couple weeks ago. He has not practiced since. We have not seen Andrew Harris in cleats during Blue Bombers practice. He's out for Week 1 officially with a calf injury. How critical is this loss for the Blue Bombers, albeit they will have a trio of young Canadians able to fill in?
Well, you hit it on the head. I mean, this is a leader in the locker room. He's a leader on the field. I mean, Andrew Harris is, when you look at what he's done, he's 62 yards away from a career 10,000 yards, which is crazy. He's got 3,000-yard rushing seasons in a row. And I don't care. Like, he downplays it, but that's the way he is. He's such a nice guy. He's calm and cool. But you saw the frustration when he thought he could come back a little early. I think it's a great move by O'Shea. You don't want to risk a star player like that and then have him further injured or re-aggravate it worse where he can't come back for maybe 6 games. So to me, I think it's a smart move. And I'm actually excited to see Oliveira, and they got some good Johnny Augustine, and as you mentioned, Nick Dembski. They can all carry the load. So this is a great opportunity, and that's what the word is: opportunity for these young Canucks to make an impact.
We will hear from Brady Oliveira in just a minute. Big day for him. He says his grandmother's got season tickets, didn't have to worry about getting her into the stadium tonight, but was kind of bugging the Blue Bombers organization every day for more tickets because he's got a lot of friends and family who are looking forward to seeing number 20 in his first CFL start tonight. Also on the one-game injured list for the Blue Bombers, Darvin Adams, injured on July 20th in training camp. That injury looks serious. Of course, Mike O'Shea will stick to his company line. He's hopeful for these guys, but it looks like Darvin Adams is going to miss a significant stretch of time here, Chris. At least that's speculation from the outside looking in. Charles Nelson, whose 2019 season was halted due to injury, he actually beat out Lucky Whitehead in 2019, week 1, to be the kick returner in Winnipeg. He'll slot into the starting lineup at receiver, being complimented by a lot of guys. You talk about Zach Collaros, look out for Kenny Lawler. The guy's got the best hands I've seen here in Winnipeg in, well, maybe a decade plus.
Yeah, and I think there's an issue here. I think you talked about Charles Nelson. I know that they love him because of his versatility. He can return kicks. He can go on, punt cover. He can catch the football. He can play defense. He's so versatile that, and he's, I guess, a great team guy. And O'Shea really likes this guy. But I tell you, when you lose a Harris and you lose a Darvin Adams, you lose what I call the comfort blanket for Zach Collaros. And he actually mentioned it. He says, I have even on a short period of time, I've got such a good rapport with these two guys. Now they're not there. Now you're right. Kenny Lawler's had an outstanding camp. He's going to have to fill the void, along with Charles Nelson, along with Rashid Bailey and these others. It'll be really interesting to see what he does, because when you're talking about Zach and all the relationships he had with those two guys that won't be here, it was huge.
Yeah, and it helps, obviously, that Winnipeg will have their entire offensive line returning intact. We'll hear from Brady Oliveira speak on them in just a minute. On defense, Chris, there's a few critical injuries that will affect who the Blue Bombers roll out under Richie Hall's eye tonight. Willie Jefferson missed practice on Tuesday with an ankle injury. Now, the CFL has new injury reporting this season where they have to put out an official report every day. I got some clarity on this. Willie Jefferson will play tonight. We know that for sure, but he is officially listed as questionable. The rule states you're either out, doubtful, or questionable. There is no probable designation. And if a player is mentioned in that injury report at any time during the prep week, they have to be on it on game day. That's why Willie Jefferson, as well as starting center Michael Couture and special teams demon Mike Miller, are all listed as questionable. They will all go tonight. That was confirmed by TSN Sarah Oleski today as well. So Jefferson's good. That's good news. Starting weak side linebacker, who'll be right next to Adam Bighill, Kyrie Wilson has not practiced in about a week. He's got a thigh injury. Enter rookie Jontrell Rockamore. He's really knocked the Blue Bombers' socks off.
Yeah.
He's been very impressive.
And when you get a compliment from Adam Bighill, the guy's got to play beside. I mean, Adam Bighill makes those defensive calls, so everything is around him, centered around him. And so you got Rockamore there, and he said, this Jontrell kid, he said, this guy moves around, he makes plays, he can read things, he reacts extremely well. And they said, this guy is going to jump off the page to some guys who haven't seen him play. So, again, every year we get to see guys like these new guys, like Rockamore in training camp or in an exhibition game. Now we get to see him, and, it's in live action. The first game against, a beat-up offensive line. Maybe that's going to be a bonus because, Hamilton, they lost a couple guys at that tackle position, especially the most outstanding offensive lineman last year in Chris Van Zyl. So I think that I don't want to say they're all good juicing up, but right now they're getting very excited when I talk about Jefferson and Jeff Coat to go against these young guys.
No question. Jonathan Kongbo, Theodric Hansen, they both showed up to camp in freakish shape. They're bigger than they were in 2019. Adam Bighill described it aptly. That Blue Bombers defensive front, Adam Bighill's words, scary. So we'll see how Jeremiah Mazzoli and this remade Ticats offensive line handles that tonight. Mercy Maston suffered an Achilles injury in training camp this year. The Blue Bombers then made a trade, sending a rookie offensive lineman, Terry Poole, to the Toronto Argonauts for
Alden Derby.
Yes, Alden Darby. So he had 5 interceptions in 2019, a ball hawking DB. He's not quite ready to go yet. So 2 rookies will start in the Blue Bombers secondary. DeAndre Alford at field side corner and Dietrich Nichols at field side halfback. A very tough position to play. Both of their CFL debuts tonight. Nichols led the XFL with 3 interceptions in their shortened 2020 season, but they might get picked on tonight by Jeremiah Mazzoli, no?
Well, it's interesting because they both play the wide side now. And if you listen to anything that Collaros says, he's been going against these guys all week in practice. And he said he's very impressed by these 2 newcomers, the way they've been, the ability to communicate between each other, because Brandon Alexander, who's starting at Safeway, who's the big leader back there, he's got to make sure these guys are on the right thing, especially when you're switching off receivers or they're bringing, and especially when you got to guess like Brandon Banks, right? The reigning outstanding player. So they got their work cut out for you. But according to what the guys that are practicing against these 2 young guys have said, is these 2 guys have really stood out at camp, and they're looking for big things from them.
Dietrich Nichols asked earlier this week, do you know the name Brandon Banks? His response, that's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah. He knows who number 16 is. We'll, of course, watch him closely tonight. Running back Don Jackson will not suit up for the Hamilton Tiger Cats tonight. Either will, as you mentioned, most outstanding offensive lineman in 2019, Chris Van Zyl. That'll be an interesting one to watch. Ted Laurent, the perennial all-star Canadian defensive tackle, is out with a knee injury. And 2 weapons who are normally right there with Brandon Banks in the Hamilton Tiger Cats attack. Devere Posey has a calf injury. Braylon Addison has a knee. Both players starting the season on the 6-game injured list, so they're not in the lineup tonight. Chris, the kicking game here in Winnipeg is something.
I'm just going to jump on that thing you said, because there's one other guy, DB, and I have to make sure that I think it's going to be a big factor in this game, and that is Tunde Adeleke is out, and Mike Daly, the 7-year veteran, is now playing at Safeway. Now, there is a difference in their coverage ability and their breaking speed. Daly's probably more physical, but you know that Adeleke is a greater athlete, so I think they're going to lose a step back there. So watch for something at that safety position for the Ticats.
Bombers fans should remember Mike Daly. Why? Theodric Hansen described it as had him on skates. That hellacious hit in the Grey Cup. He picked up Mike Daly, threw him into Frankie Williams for maybe the most impressive highlight of that football game. So he'll start at safety for Tunde and Adeleke tonight. Thanks for checking me on that, Chris. The kicking game is a huge storyline going into this game. It used to be Liram Hajrullahu for the Ticats, and of course, future Hall of Famer, no doubt, in Justin Medlock of the Blue Bombers. This year, different guys. Winnipeg brought in a rookie, a 2020 draft pick out of Western, and that's Mark Leggio, who they call Legs. He's got it printed right on his kicking boot. He had some tough days in the early parts of camp, maybe the nerves getting to the young man. The confidence isn't there anymore. Kyle Walters went out and signed Tyler Crapigna, a 4-year CFL veteran, most recently with the Montreal Alouettes, but 3 seasons with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Crapigna will handle all field goals tonight. Leggio, who has the stronger leg, will punt and will kick off. But this is something to watch closely. We got to remember, Justin Medlock went 6 of 7 in the Grey Cup, Chris. The game's leading scorer. Things might have went differently if they didn't have Medlock in that game. Things might go differently tonight because they don't have Money Medlock.
It's interesting when you go back to that score in that, that 33-12 victory. And when you told me this off air, we were talking about that. I forgot about that Medlock was such a big point, the points that he had put up on the board for these guys, because it's always about, the Collaros and Andrew Harris, and Andrew Harris had that huge game with, I think, 160 plus combined yards and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, this is going to be a big thing. And you talked about, Mark Leggio, maybe losing some confidence, but I think anybody loses a little bit of confidence when the management goes out and brings another kicker in. You don't sleep at night. You're like, okay, are my days numbered here? Am I waiting for the knock on the door and saying, hey, coach, bring the playbook kind of thing? So,
right.
But he's got such a strong leg punting. That's the thing that I think is saving him. And if he does improve on the field goals, which he'll do, I'm sure, at every day, they'll both work at it. Then you might see a change. But right now, if they can get away with going like this, good for them.
Yeah, for the past week plus, I've watched Crapigna practice punts after practice, watch Mark Leggio do the same as well as field goals. Old-fashioned competition here amongst two Canadians, but they're going with a duo against the Ticats tonight. Chris, let's talk about quarterback Zach Collaros, because he's really shifted the dynamic of this entire Blue Bombers offense since he took over for that regular season finale last season, 2019, of course, and then through the playoffs. He is a quarterback capable of a lot. Let's hear from him right off the top here, a little bit more about Zach Collaros and who he is as a quarterback.
Certainly my upbringing, obviously, in terms of sports or just anything going on in my life, my parents would always, try to tell me to, keep a cool head. Don't overreact to things, obviously. But, getting to high school and being around my teachers and my coaches, and, specifically we had a baseball coach that would always tell us, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You have to stay here, no matter what's going on. So a lot of us took that to heart. And applied it elsewhere. I've told this story 1,000 times in press conferences. I have my quarterback coach from high school still texts me before every game, cool, calm, and collected. Those guys look to you. And I do think there's some validity to that. That if you get too high in the huddle, people might get too excited, and I think there's a higher chance for a missed assignment, and those things can lose you football games. And the same thing if you get too low. I told a story last week about a teammate of mine. Our conversation on the field, just, coach speak is, snap and clear. The next play is the most important play. And, you can roll your eyes at that, especially as a young guy, but it's true. It really is, because those mistakes, if you let it affect you, they can compound. And I've been guilty of that in my career, even though it looks sometimes like I'm cool, calm, and collected. There's times where something's weighing on me that happened the last drive, and you have to do a good job of being prepared to, be ready for the next play and how to deal with those kind of swings that happen in a game. And that's something that I always try to work on, not just in the football field, but in my life. You can't let things, affect you and let them drag out. So I think it's important on the field. I'm happy to know that my teammates think that about me, and I want to be supportive, especially of the young guys, those guys who don't necessarily know exactly what it takes yet to be a pro. Again, that's still something we're learning every single day how to get better at this profession. But if I can help, bring those guys along, if they make a mistake, they make a mistake. Next play is the most important. So that's good to hear.
Now, Chris, Winnipeg's most recent QB1, Matt Nichols, was nicknamed Matty Ice. But Zach Collaros maybe redefines the calm, cool, and collected, like his high school coach still texts him before every game. He is a leader. He is dangerous with his arm. He adds a whole new element of attack to this Blue Bombers offense.
The biggest thing for me is the difference. He came into camp. Listen, this is a guy who was fighting injuries in 2019. Yes, he played the final 4 games. Yes, he led us to the Grey Cup. But this is one of those players that I think that year off, due to the pandemic, really helped him, because I think one of the things I've been most impressed with is his shape. His conditioning. He is so much bigger. And matter of fact, some of his players, you talk to Willie Jefferson, Willie goes, he doesn't even look like the same quarterback that left here in 2019. Yeah. He's come bigger, stronger, throwing the ball. And now you have to say one thing. He's had an entire 3-week of training camp learning the playbook. He knows it now. And as you said, he's calm, cool, collected. And if he can stay there, and one of the things that I like about this guy, because he's had another opportunities in years past where he could have been the most outstanding player. He's that good. So when you got a guy like that reads so well, reads defenses so quickly and so well, and gets rid of the ball so quickly, it bodes well for this Bomber offense.
Yeah, you talk to anybody, Zach Collaros is a complete quarterback. On and off the field, smart, athletic, can make things happen on broken plays. We saw that with that scramble touchdown throw to Darvin Adams against the Stampeders. Yep. The last game Zach Collaros played at IG Field. Looking forward to seeing him, of course, again tonight. New offensive coordinator in Winnipeg. What can we expect from Buck Pierce? Will it look similar to Paul LaPolice's offense, or can we expect some wrinkles, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that there's going to be wrinkles. It has to be. But I'll say this, when you learn from the master, and I call him the master, remember he used to be a kung fu grasshopper, when you can walk across the rice paper without breaking it, you will be indeed a man. Anyway, for me, I don't know why that came up for me, but anyway, when I look at him, I love Paul LaPolice. Like this guy, I liked him as a coach. I liked him as a person. And I think he was such an innovative guy offensively. And I think with the things he did, the way he mixed plays up and took advantage of breaking, making, putting the two formations, they look the same, but they're running two different plays.
Right.
I think that Buck Pierce is going to take all of that and more, but add his own old stuff in there. And I think you're going to see some different things because Buck's been around for a long time. Listen, he's earned his stripes. Running back coach, quarterback coach. Now he's been under Paula Police for a couple of years. Now he gets the reins of the offensive coordinator. So to me, there's no excuses. I think that you're going to see good things out of Buck Pierce.
Protege Buck Pierce now elevated to the man in charge of the Blue Bombers offense. And Charles Nelson, as I mentioned, in for Darvin Adams tonight. I asked him if he likes what Buck Pierce has been cooking. The smile went from ear to ear on Charles Nelson's face. He says, that cooking's got all the dressing on it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the flavor that Buck Pierce has put into this offense. Kenny Lawler catches everything, Chris. He was the Blue Bombers' leading receiver in 2019. I think he's going to be the number one target. Even with a healthy Darvin Adams, I think Lawler's the guy now in Winnipeg. We're going to see him tonight, potentially on the arm of some deep passes from Zach Collaros.
Well, he said he's a confident guy. He's come out and said, I want to be the best receiver in the CFL. He's come back more determined, full of, better conditioning again, better understanding. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of these American receivers, when they understand the nuances of the Canadian game and they get it under their belt, and all of a sudden, as you said, he was the leading receiver last year. I think that he's got the potential to be just an outstanding player. And they're going to have to go to him a lot, obviously, with Darvin out. But I like what they got. I mean, I like Rasheed Bailey. I like the fact Nick Dembski comes out of the backfield. And as you mentioned, Charles Nelson. They love to get a wide receiver, come back, slant into the middle of the field. If you hit him on that quick line, he's gone. Unless that linebacker drops to that side of the field and takes away that quick throw, Charles Nelson could have a big day.
And you got two guys waiting in the wings in former NFL third-round pick of the New York Jets, Ardarius Stewart. He came on really strong in camp, looked to start just a matter of days ago. Foot injury has him unable to play tonight. And then, of course, Cam Meredith, 66 catches, I believe it was, off the arm of Jay Cutler when he was a member of the Chicago Bears. Injuries left him without a job in the NFL. Here he is already living in Winnipeg, skating down at the Forks all winter. The Blue Bombers sign him. He's been injured most of training camp as well. But, man, you talk about pedigree, waiting in the wings in this Blue Bombers receiving corps. Zach Collaros might be licking his chops more than anybody.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, listen, Mayor, I hope this kid comes back. I know he's fighting injuries, but he hasn't been in training camp hardly at all this year.
He's close, I'm told. He's close.
Okay, well, he's going to have to because there's the old adage, you don't make the club in a tub. And listen, eventually, you have to put something out on the field. You have to show your worth. I mean, yes, he's got a pedigree, but that's a couple of years ago. He needs to step up. He's got to get out of the tub. He's got to get back on the field so he can impress. And if he does that, then he's got an opportunity. If not, it'll be the old apple in the roadmap.
Yeah, well, he's made the team. We look forward to Cam Meredith and really everybody. But, of course, Meredith out tonight. And as Zach Collaros prepares for the Ticats, let's hear about his process in the days leading up to the game.
And there's been, moments in my career, places I've been where I've had to, or at least in my head, kind of had to, up until game time, make sure everything is right. Not just in our room, but other rooms. That's not something that has to be done here. So that's definitely a weight off my shoulders. I've always tried to take a page out of Ricky Ray's playbook. I came into the league, low on the depth chart, just watching him work. And he used to always say to me, on day 4, the hay should be in the barn, so manage your time efficiently, try to stay ahead of, first down prep, second down prep, red zone prep, all those things. So the night before the game, you can go over your call sheet, feel confident about it, not feel anxious about what's going on. And then, the day of, I look over it one more time, I'm not going to lie to you, but it's not something that I try to stress over. I try to get my mind off it. I don't want to talk about, my wife gets mad at me sometimes. I don't want to talk about practice. I don't want to talk about, who's playing, who's not playing. Just let's watch a show that's a mindless show and relax.
Do you like getting a marquee matchup like this, a Grey Cup rematch, two teams atop the power rankings going into a season? Do you like that for week 1? Get right into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't really matter who you play week one. You're getting right into it. This is professional football. There's professional football players on every team, and it just so happens that this is the last team that we played, the last time we were able to play football. And like I've said all week, they're a great organization, top to bottom, and we'll have to play a great game to win. And we're excited to go out there and to try to do that, to execute our plays that we've installed, and again to react to what they're doing and try to win.
Different level that Zach Collaros brings to quarterbacking, and it probably helps a heck of a lot, Chris. Everybody talking about Collaros being one hit away from not being able to play. Well, any player that steps on the field in a professional football game or any football game is one hit away from not being able to play. But he's got probably easily the best offensive line in the CFL in front of him. That's going to help a lot.
They've got it. They brought everybody back, and when you're anchored by two-time most outstanding offensive lineman Stanley Bryant, who's 35 and still plays like he's 32. But it's like I always say, when you're an offensive lineman, you get better. So you're like fine wine. You age beautifully, right? His bouquet is beautifully right now. Then you got Jamarcus, the hopper over there, Hardrick, Pat Newfield, who I thought played outstanding in 2019. Couture's back at center, and a guy that really impressed to come out of a rookie and start at left guard, and Drew Desjardins. So they've got the makings, and they got backup guys. When you talk about Jeff Gray, you talk about the other guys. I mean,
Tuielli.
There you go. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that name. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, that is a strength. If you take a look at the team, and it's funny, I was watching NFL Network just I think last night, and they had Philadelphia Eagles GM on Eagles. The thing we build on our team to try and get our team better is the two lines, the offense and the defensive line. And that is, to my mind, the strength of this Bomber team.
No doubt. That's been Kyle Walter's playbook since day one. And look where they were and look where they are today. It's because of good play on both sides of the ball and the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage will come into factor today with no Andrew Harris. Brady Oliveira will be leading a backfield. I expect it to be a trio, not just a duo. Johnny Augustine, no doubt, will get in there. Great receiver out of the backfield. In the 2 games Andrew Harris missed in 2019 due to suspension, Augustine came in, averaged well over 6 yards per carry. So a nice complementary piece to the north-south power back style of runner that Brady Oliveira is. Both can receive the ball. And then you throw in who I like to call the Canadian Swiss Army knife, and that's Nick Dembski. He'll take carries like a traditional running back between the tackles as well, but it's all going to be about that offensive line opening things up for them, just like they did for Andrew Harris in the Grey Cup.
And you mentioned it earlier. I think the biggest difference, obviously, in this Ticat defense is the fact their defensive line is missing Ted Laurent, who to me is one of the best defensive tackles in the game, has been for a number of years. And with him out now, they've got to replace him. I mean, yeah, they got Dylan Wing, and when he's very good at the other tackle position, they got 2 very good ends, but you got to plug that middle. And so it'll be very interesting because they're starting a Jovan Santos Knox, an old name from the Bombers, and he's making the defensive calls. Now, this is a guy that 4 years ago had his career start with Winnipeg. He's biting, chomping at the bit to come back here and make an impression. He had a little short stint in Edmonton, but he's been fighting injury problems his whole career. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to watch that trial or that trio of guys trying to stop, as you mentioned, the Canadian running backs.
Yeah, and, not to mention the Hamilton Tiger Cats defensive backfield, some changes there. You mentioned Tunde Andeleke, I believe, rolls out of the lineup as well. So, opportunity there for this Blue Bombers offense, no doubt. When it comes to Brady Oliveira, we talked about his grandma being a season ticket holder and having all that friends and family, his mom here at IG Field for the game tonight. The nerves might sink in. He had a really tough go with a pretty nasty, hellacious compound fracture, I believe it was, in his ankle in the first game of his pro career in 2019. So he comes back. I asked Brady Oliveira about ensuring that his mind is right going into his first CFL start.
Obviously I'm going to be excited. I think, anyone, in our locker room is going to be excited. And, even for Hamilton, everyone's excited, right? We've got football taken away for us for so long. Right now it's finally back. So of course everyone's going to be excited. Emotions are going to be high. But when that whistle blows for the first play, you got to, check yourself and make sure that, like you said, it's business, right? It's just another game. Most of us have been playing, this game of football for years now, and you just got to treat it like another game. So, I'm obviously, truly excited for the game. But just going to stay, cool, calm, collected, and just treat it like another game.
You know that running back room as well as anybody. What can fans expect from a backfield that'll see you, Johnny Augustine, and possibly even Nick Dembski on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, all Canadians, man. I think that right there is just super exciting. It's a CFL, it's a Canadian Football League. So I think, for fans watching, I think that's just exciting alone. You have a bunch of, great Canadian football players that you're able to witness, right? So I think that right there, then obviously, we all have our different attributes that we bring to the field. And I think we're all very exciting players. So it'll be a fun game.
Chris, hunger and anticipation is going to be flowing through the veins of every player on the field tonight. I have no doubt about that. Even the coaches, even guys like us. But for Brady Oliveira's path to having that injury and working his way back to health and then showing up to camp, him and Nick Dembski working all winter here in Winnipeg. They both showed up, did not miss a day of camp, both taking the first team reps. The opportunity is now for Brady Oliveira.
Oh, I think he's got a bright future. I think those three guys have a bright future. I think, you know what? It's one door closes, another one opens, and this is his opportunity to make a show. I think he knows, as you mentioned, rightly so, his first game ever at IG Field, he breaks his leg, doesn't want to have that. So this is the second game. He's ready to go. He's in great shape. He's had a great camp, much like Dembski and Augustine both have had great camps. So I think that, you know what? His family is here. It's a full house. When they come out, and I think when they get introduced, and I wonder if they're going to come out as a group. I know that he's going to be just so excited because I'm going to kind of talk to O'Shea because they asked O'Shea the same thing. How are you going to be when you see you got new guys in your lineup? And he goes, "Hey, it's one man, next man up mentality," but he's going to walk out before the team just to get a feel for the crowd because he says, "I don't want to get so jacked up on the sideline that I miss a play." So I think Brady's got to, like you mentioned, Zach Collaros, calm, cool, collected. I think that's what Brady Oliveira's got to do too, is just take the game, play at a time, and just get into it because they haven't had any hits. It's like, I'm going to ramble now because Jeremiah Mazzoli, they asked him on his interview in Hamilton, what's the first thing you're looking forward to? And you'd think he'd say throwing a touchdown pass. You know what he said? Taking my first hit so I can get back into the game and get that off my back. I thought that was so right on point.
Yeah, nice to hear that from a quarterback as well. I've been extremely impressed with the maturity and wisdom of a young player like Brady Oliveira. And of course, that all comes from good mentorship. And while Brady Oliveira isn't Andrew Harris, he's his own man, he's his own player, and we're going to see that tonight. It also helps a heck of a lot when you have somebody like Andrew Harris as a mentor. Let's hear from Brady Oliveira.
Yeah, they've been good conversations. Obviously great, having, a guy like that ahead of me. And, he's played obviously, hundreds of, CFL games, right? So here his experience and knowledge is through the roof. So just, giving me, little tips and hints throughout the week and stuff. And yeah, other than that, just, having, we're still human at the end of the day. So just, having good conversations but yeah, throughout this whole week of preparation, he's definitely been a great help with just giving me tips and about what I can expect from Hamilton and what I should be doing.
Do you have to have a mindset of going out there and being Brady Oliveira, not trying to be Andrew Harris?
100%. Andrew's Andrew, I'm Brady. We're two different type of people, and my game is going to be completely different than Andrew's. When I'm out there running and blocking and catching the ball, it's not going to look like 33. It's going to look like number 20. And that's like everyone, right? Even if Johnny's in there, he's going to look a lot different than me. So yeah, I'm going to go out there and play Brady football, the type of football that I've been playing for years, and it's brought me to a high level, and I've had lots of success with it. So, I'm going to go out there and just play my brand of football, which is, obviously I'm a north and south runner. I like to, I'm a physical runner. I can, catch a ball at the backfield. So I'm going to do all the things that have gotten me to this far in my career.
And Chris, I love that question from Winnipeg Sun reporter Ted Wyman, that You know, Brady Oliveira is not Andrew Harris. Brady Oliveira is his own guy, and he's going to show everybody that tonight. I think that's an important thing for people to remember. They might want to see 33, but hey, let's get a look at number 20 and who he is. He's probably the future here in Winnipeg's offensive backfield.
Well, when you look at Andrew Harris, who's had a great career, and he could probably play for a long time still.
He will.
But I mean, but he's 34, and then you got a young kid coming up in Oliveira. I think what's going to happen, and if you ever go to their website and just read his story, where he comes from, the struggles he's had as a young man, and how it turned him and made him into a better person. So, you know, I'm just impressed with the young man, first as a person, but also as a football player.
Yeah, and we know that's how Kyle Walters and Mike O'Shea and even Wade Miller likes to build the culture and has built the culture here in Winnipeg. Of course, Brady Oliveira, Johnny Augustine, Nick Dembski, whomever is carrying the football, and even for Zach Collaros in the pass game, it's all going to come down to the offensive line, Chris. Here's Brady Oliveira on having the best in the league in front of him.
It's amazing. Those boys up front, they're I've never ran behind an O-line, you know, that dominates as they do, and I think that just goes to show of the behind the scenes that, you know, you guys don't get to see, but I get to see on a day-to-day basis of all the work that they put in the weight room and even just in the meeting rooms, and them taking me under their wing and really you know, trying to like coach me and like teach me and bring me along. I have so much respect for those guys, and yeah, you know, they truly put, you know, so much work in behind the scenes. And, you know, that's why they go out there, you know, week to week and dominate and show that, you know, they're the best offensive line in the CFL. And that's just because, you know, whatever you put, whatever the work you put in, that's what you'll receive, right? So they put the work in and they get great results.
Bombers offense versus the Ticats defense will be a fun one to watch tonight, Chris. I look towards the Ticats offense versus the Blue Bombers defense as a critical thing to see tonight and watch closely. That's my key matchup. What are your three keys to the game on offense?
Well, on offense, when you got what we have, as you mentioned already, one of the top offensive lines, but not the best offensive line in the CFL going in. You've got running backs I think are very capable of carrying the load. I think the biggest thing is you can't try and stay away from what is your power. You've won the rushing title 3 years in a row for the league. That's your power. You always want to stay with it. But that's still, I think Buck Pierce is going to sprinkle a lot more passes in there. So for me to be successful as an offense, you want to mix it up. Get a nice mix so these guys can't get a read, whether it's a run or a pass. And that'll not only help the run game, will not only help the O-line get into the game because they're, you know, coming off the ball, but it'll also allow Zach to do any play action and keep those linebackers up tight to the line where they can get behind him with the pass.
In 2019, Chris, nobody ran the ball more than the Blue Bombers. They led the league in rushing as a team. And of course, Andrew Harris, once again, nobody threw for less yards or threw as less often than the Blue Bombers. But that was with Matt Nichols. That was with Chris Streveler. Not the most dangerous passing quarterbacks, and I'm saying that diplomatically. You add in Zach Collaros, could be a very different story in the 2021 season. Defensively, Chris, in facing Jeremiah Mazzoli, no Chris Van Zyl for the Ticats is going to be a factor for Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat and company as well. But what's a key for the Blue Bombers on defense tonight?
Well, first off, Mazzoli hasn't played since July of 2019. It's over 2 years. He hasn't faced any live bullets in over 2 years. He's coming. They haven't had, they've had little padded practices in the 3 weeks of training camp in Hamilton. So right now, what you want to make sure you do is I hope Richie Hall brings a mix of blitzes and different looks right now one of the things you don't want to do is let Mazzoli get in there and start getting comfortable because he is that good of a quarterback and he will utilize his legs. He's had a year to come back. He's healthy now. His arm has looked better. I know, listen to Steve Milton in Hamilton, said he's never seen him throw the ball better. So it's really imperative that this defense gets after him.
No doubt. And of course, we know the Blue Bombers defense early in the 2019 season had a lot of trouble with the deep pass. So we're going to watch rookies DeAndre Alford and Dietrich Nichols. And Josh Johnson is somebody we haven't mentioned. He'll line up at dime back or strong side linebacker, as some people like to refer to it. Former Edmonton Elk, of course, of their former name, now signed with the Blue Bombers in 2020. He will start in Mercy Masson's spot at the dime. his hands could be full with what the Ticats like to do with a lot of misdirection and receivers coming out of the backfield as well. Chris, you got a key on special teams with these two newcomers handling all the kicking.
Well, I want to give, if it was Justin Medlock, I'd give the advantage to the Bombers every time.
Yeah.
The Bombers got Leggio and they got Crapina. Well, Ticats got Whitford out of Australia, and they got another rookie. But one thing about special teams, first off, they got to win the field position thing. But there's a guy in the Ticats, this special team coach, who I think Jeff Reinbold might be one of the best, if not the best, special team coaches in the CFL. So you watch for him to pull some things out of his head, some rabbit stuff, and it's going to be pretty crazy.
Pull it out of his Harley saddlebag.
There you go. He was a crazy cat, that one.
Absolutely. And we're going to watch Janarian Grant, who was phenomenal for the Blue Bombers in the return game in 2019. He'll handle kick and punt return duties. Charles Nelson, Nick Dembski also in line to maybe get some touches there. I had a great conversation with the Blue Bombers' emotional and veteran leader, somebody who Mike O'Shea says never misses an opportunity to lead, and that's two-time CFL Most Outstanding Defensive Player, still the key cog in the middle of the Blue Bombers' defense. Here's my conversation with Adam Bighill. Thanks for joining us on Bonfire Sports here on Game Day. How are things going? How's training camp been for you?
Training camp was good. It was right back to it. I mean, a lot of energy and excitement to be back on the field. And I really had a really long off-season training and get to feel necessary then and be the best I've ever been physically. So, a lot of confidence coming into training camp and excited that we're on week one here.
Mike O'Shea spoke about you earlier in camp this year, and he said something that really stood out to me, and that was Adam Bighill never misses an opportunity to lead. Why is that so important for you? Maybe not even just at this point in your career, because by all accounts, you've always been a leader.
Well, part of it just comes from being around when I was young, being around great leaders and understanding, when things need to be said or when things need to be done, and always understanding that you have to lead by your actions first before people can really follow what it is that you're going to say. I mean, you've got to be able to demonstrate what it is that you're going to do on the field. You have to put that forward so that people can get their respect. And so it started there, and it just now just having experience being in the league and seeing lots of things, lots of guys come, lots of guys go, lots of good plays, lots of bad plays, make mistakes, make good plays. You see a lot, and you want to be able to give, the advice that maybe you wish you would have had when you were young and you made some of those mistakes and just, I've been there and done it, and I've seen, like I said, the good and the bad. There's things I wish I knew when I first came to the league that I know I could have done better if I had some more guidance. And so, you just pick your spots and help the way you can.
Well, on that note, let's talk about some of the young guys that have been in camp, and whether it's a real big group of defensive backs that's now been pared down, and you got a couple guys standing out, some rookies that look to contribute in this defense early in the season, and you got someone like John Charles Rockamore, who I'm sure you've been working with closely as one of those rookie linebackers. How are you seeing this group of new guys, and do you expect big things from them? Are they going to be able to contribute early?
Yeah, I mean, in camp, it's always interesting to see what kind of guys we're going to see and bring in, especially when, we lost a couple guys, NFL and free agency, and see how things are going to shake down. This camp was, one of the better ones in my career where we brought in a lot of talent, a lot of guys that can play. And, we've found some really good guys to pair in here. And I think they are guys that they can make an impact. We have a good system here. We have good coaching here. Guys can obviously play the game of football at a very high level. That's why they're here. But they're also smart, cerebral people that can learn and take instruction well and can now then apply it. So, I mean, no doubt about it, rookies coming in, we see lots of mistakes. But the one thing I always tell them, make as many mistakes as you want. Don't make the same one twice. And, we've really seen these guys go from missing plays to making big plays. So they're definitely leveling up, and I think this is going to be a great test for them coming against Hamilton with a lot of the unique things that they do. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a great test for all of us.
Well, tell us about this Hamilton Tiger Cats offense. You got a taste of them obviously in the Grey Cup, but that was 20 months ago. How do you prepare for a team that you're familiar with, but we haven't seen really anything on film or on the field in such a long time?
Yeah, week one's always strange. I mean, you're looking at film from prior years, and Masoli's the starter, and a lot of the film that you would have, Dane Evans was the starter, once Masoli went down. So you're kind of just trying to get a sense of who they are as a team, and not read into too much, because they can come out and do a lot of different stuff, and I'm sure they will. So as long as we understand their identity, who they are, the things they like to do, the ball, where they like to push the ball, obviously where's Banks on the field, those kinds of things, then we can always play our game and adjust as the game goes based on what we see week one.
Well, what we will see week one is quarterback Jeremiah Mazzoli back under center for the Ticats. There was an old-fashioned quarterback competition in Ticats training camp this year. If you're the middle linebacker of the opposing team, as you are, Adam, does it matter what quarterback you're facing?
Well, to some degree, yeah, it does. Dane Evans and Masoli, I mean, they're in the same system, and they have a lot of the same process. But I mean, I think Masoli is more of a natural runner. It's evidence from his college career and the things he has been able to do already in the CFL. I think Masoli's arm is a little bit stronger. So he makes some of the longer field throws, even while backpedaling. So he's got a cannon. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, who's playing, it does matter to some degree. But when it comes down to it, we still have to execute our stuff and make it tough on them.
Adam, one of the last things I wanted to ask you about was, your 2019 season. It obviously ended the way you and everybody in the Blue Bombers organization had your goal set on and how you wanted, with a Grey Cup championship. But for you, you've even spoken about it through training camp that, injury was kind of nagging you throughout the season. But you also mentioned how you never put your team, in a tough spot and put yourself on the field when maybe you shouldn't be. How do you balance knowing what's best for the team with wanting to be on the field and to contribute how you can?
Well, I mean, it really just comes down to, you're never going to be 100% healthy. And that's a game of football. We have to understand that. So understanding what you can and you can't do. I mean, if you're going to be a liability, you got to know that, there's guys behind us, Jesse Briggs and guys like that can come in and play and do a great job. And, if I feel like if that's best for the team, that's what I would definitely be comfortable with. But at the end of the day, it was just normal things that you as a football player have to learn to play with. So for me, that was definitely a focus of mine, is just, still being the leader on the defense and being able to make sure things are aligned and checks are getting done. And, I think really just, like I said, make the plays that come to me, and that's all you can really focus on.
A lot of guys have talked about that desire and hunger to get back on the field and play football. And I'll just say it bluntly, Adam, you showed up to training camp in phenomenal shape. Does that add to the hunger, knowing that you were prepared, ready, and now you're almost a month in since you, started showing up at the facility on a daily basis? You want to go out there and show people what number 4 is still made of?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always play the game with a chip on my shoulder. Like I said, this is a long offseason to prepare, so there's no excuses why you should be coming back in the best shape of your life, ready to play ball. Every year I feel like I should be and capable of becoming better, stronger, faster, more athletic, and this whole extra year even healthier. So for me, I'm very confident because I put in the preparation, I put in the work, and I'm ready to go on the field and let it show.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're leading by example. That's, what I hear from everybody. Big things are expected of the Blue Bombers this year. I don't have to tell you that. Best of luck this year, Adam. Thanks for joining us on Bonfire Sports. We'll see you Thursday night.
Good luck to do it again sometime.
Chris, I'll be honest with you. There's few players in my decade of covering the Canadian Football League that I have been more impressed with on and off the field than Adam Bighill. He has the right mind. He has the right physical talent. He has the right mentality. He's a future coach, if you're asking me, because he just does everything the right way and has the right approach. If you're Mike O'Shea, I don't know if you could be more reassured than having that guy in the middle of your defense.
And it's funny you say that because I was watching his videos today and I noticed that, you know, he was talking about how he helps Rockamore on the one side, the new kid that's going to be playing that weak side. And I said the same thing. I said, this guy's got a future in coaching. They like what he does. You know, this, when you think about this pandemic we went through, there was none of the gyms were open.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that builds a gym in his garage. And if you see him, he's just rock solid.
Totally.
He's a guy that really believes in flexibility and stretching. That's one of his biggest things. He does plyometrics. He figures that this will keep his career going longer and longer. And he said today, the first thing he wants to do is lay a helmet on somebody. He said, because I'm tired of tackling, you know, other things and not hitting anybody on another team. So you know, he's going to be one of those, like a guy that you need to feed a steak to, like a little pit bull. He's going to be out there running all over the place. So I'm excited because Adam is, as you say, a leader emotionally on this team, and he looks as good as I've ever seen him.
No doubt. And, you know, you talk about him running all over the place. He'll blitz. He'll drop into pass coverage. He'll drop even to like a double safety set. He's so versatile, let alone, you know, the brute talent that he has between the tackles. Maybe a little bit more diminutive in size, but man, I think the heart and the smarts make up for it. Yeah.
That is the biggest thing he's got. He's got intelligence, the ability to read the offense before they, you know, when they run the play. He recognizes things. He studies so much film. So he looks at the keys. Here's the keys. I see a slot back going here. Something's coming back. I know what that play is now. This is something. So he's going to make the most of it. And when you see a guy like that in their meeting room, these young kids or the other linebackers are like, "Oh, Adam, watch what's Adam doing." Like they talk, they communicate. What do you see here? And he tells them. It only makes everybody around him much better.
No doubt about that. Chris, final thoughts as the banner goes up tonight here in Winnipeg. All of the celebration is going to come to a fever pitch once again with 30,000 plus expected at IG Field tonight. Here we are. The anticipation is over. It's real. We're going to play football tonight. How good does it feel to say that?
No, it's game day. I can tell it's game day because everybody's phoning me for tickets. So I got two of my sons going to the game, and one's taking my grandson. And I guess he was just bouncing around the living room when I told him. So, you know, good for us. And I listen, one other thing, just on that note, I know this year, we did TSN for 6 years, and we were basically in the studio. Yeah. This will be kind of interesting. The opportunity for us now to be able to go and smell the live action, because there's nothing like being in the stands and seeing and just feeling it. And I missed that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'd been to more Grey Cup games live than I'd been to Blue Bomber games live over the last 7 years. So everybody's looking forward to it, whether you're watching from home or going to the game. Thanks for joining us here on Game Day on Bonfire Sports. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out BonfireSports.ca. Chris, I know you're on it every day, checking out the stuff I put up there during the practice week. There's video content. There's written content as well. And then, of course, looking forward to having you join me and special guests all season long right here on Game Day before every game all season long.
Amen, brother. I mean, that's what's fun about this thing. It's back. You were back. It's been too long, but boy, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm probably going to head out to the lake in a bit, and I want to watch this game. I'm going to sit down, have a cold one, watch the game, and I'll be yelling at the TV. Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe you and I will have to have a cold one in the alumni section a little bit later this year. Amen. Amen. Absolutely. Football is back. That will do it for us on Game Day Winnipeg here on Bonfire Sports. For Chris Walby, I'm Darrin Bauming. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. Enjoy the game. We'll see you next time. Adios.